The Galactic Military Academy's training hall fell silent as Jasmine stepped onto the combat mat. Around her, cadets from a dozen species watched with barely concealed curiosity. Humans were still a novelty here. Their planet had only joined the Galactic Coalition 3 cycles ago, and this was the first year they'd been permitted to enroll. Across from her stood Rick, a Corthian whose species had dominated the Academy's combat rankings for generations. His 4 arms flexed menacingly, each one capable of crushing jurisdictions. His Katanus exoskeleton gleamed under the artificial lights, a natural armor that had turned aside plasma fire in real combat. "You should withdraw, soft skin," Richter rumbled, his translator rendering his clicks and hisses into something approximating contempt. "I have no wish to send you to the medical bay on your first day." Jasmine rolled her shoulders, her slight frame seemingly fragile next to the 2.5-meter-tall alien. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." From the observation deck, Kevin leaned forward, his knuckles white on the railing. He'd tried to warn Jasmine that morning. Richter had a reputation not just for winning, but for ensuring his opponents remembered the lesson. The Corthian had hospitalized 17 cadets in the past 2 years, all within the technically legal bounds of Academy sparring rules. Instructors at a crystalline Vexari raised one refractive limb. Standard combat protocols. First to yield or unconsciousness. Begin. Richter surged forward with terrifying speed. His kind had evolved as ambush predators on a high-gravity world, and that explosiveness had made them feared shock troops throughout the galaxy. 2 of his arms swung in a crushing pincer movement, while the other 2 jabbed forward like spears. Jasmine wasn't there. She'd dropped low, rolling beneath the attack with a fluidity that seemed almost liquid. Her leg swept out, not at Richter's legs, which would have been like kicking reinforced concrete, but at the mat beneath him. Using his own momentum against him as he overextended, the Corthian stumbled but didn't fall. He spun with a snarl, and this time there was no testing strike. All 4 arms became a blurred storm of violence, each blow capable of pulverizing bone, and Jasmine flowed between them like smoke. The watching cadets stirred. This wasn't normal. Humans were supposed to be weak, their homeworld a gentle paradise of low gravity and abundant resources. They had no natural weapons, no armor, no specialized combat evolution. They were the galaxy's newest charity case, admitted to the Coalition more out of pity than respect. But Jasmine moved like something else entirely. "Impossible," breathed a Valkyrie, her photosensitive skin flashing confused colors. "No species can process threat assessment that quickly without neural implants." Kevin smiled grimly. He'd grown up with Jasmine, had watched her train since they were children in Earth's sprawling urban jungles. The other species didn't understand yet. Humans hadn't evolved for one environment. They'd conquered every environment on their death world. Deserts and tundras, mountains and oceans, predator and prey. They were persistently, terrifyingly adaptable. Richter's frustration mounted. He'd fought hundreds of opponents, and they all followed predictable patterns based on their species evolution. But Jasmine had no pattern. She borrowed the circling tactics of Earth's big cats, the sudden explosive movements of striking serpents, the misdirection of prey animals that had survived by cunning rather than strength. "Stand still," Richter roared, genuine anger cracking through his composure. That's when he made his mistake. He lunged with all 4 arms extended, committing fully to a grapple that would end the fight. If he got his hands on her, it was over. His species had grip strength measured in tons. Jasmine didn't retreat. She stepped inward, inside his reach, and her hand shot up with a precision that would have impressed a surgeon. Her fingers found the soft joint where Richter's primary manipulation arm connected to his thorax, one of the few vulnerable points on a Corthian's body, usually protected by combat doctrine. She didn't just strike it. She pressed, twisted, and locked it with a technique that would have been called Aikido on Earth. Using Richter's own strength and leverage against him, the Corthian's arm went numb. Neural feedback screamed through his system. Instructor Zelenoth moved to stop the fight, but he was too late. Jasmine had already pivoted, using the locked arm as an anchor point to swing her full body weight around. Her other hand found a pressure point on Richter's neck, a cluster of neural pathways that every species with a centralized nervous system possessed in some form. Earth's military had spent 3 years mapping alien anatomy, and they'd been thorough. Richter's eyes rolled back. His massive body toppled like a felled tree. The training hall erupted. Cadets from a dozen species surged to their feet, voices raised in shock, excitement, and disbelief. Medical drones buzzed down from their charging stations, scanners already analyzing the fallen Corthian. Jasmine stood over her opponent, breathing hard but steady. She wasn't smiling. There was no triumph in her expression, only cold assessment. Instructor Zelenoth's crystalline form refracted the light in a pattern that other Vexari would have recognized as profound surprise. "The fight is concluded." Victor Cadet Jasmine Chen of Earth. Kevin vaulted the railing and made his way through the crowd to his friend's side. "You okay?" "Fine," Jasmine said quietly, watching as the medical drones stabilized. He'll recover. "You hit the shutdown points perfectly, painful but no permanent damage." Kevin studied her face. "You could have done worse." "That's not who we are." Jasmine replied. We didn't come here to prove we're the scariest predators in the galaxy. We came to prove we belong. Around them, the other cadets were re-evaluating everything they thought they knew about humans. The whispers spread through the academy like wildfire over the following days. Earth wasn't a paradise world, it was a planet of extremes where nothing came easy, where survival meant adaptability, endurance, and the intelligence to turn any situation to your advantage. Humans had spent millions of years learning one fundamental lesson. It doesn't matter how strong you are if you're smart enough, persistent enough, and crazy enough to find the weakness. By the time Victor woke in the medical bay, his grudging respect was already becoming legendary. The bully had learned what the rest of the galaxy was beginning to understand. Humanity wasn't here to be protected, they were here to fight alongside the best, and prove they belonged among them. The instructor had stopped the fight too late, true, but perhaps that was exactly when it needed to end, when everyone watching understood that Earth's children were warriors, not despite their limitations, but because of everything they'd overcome to reach the stars.